Joining me live in the studio is Ukraine's ambassador to Australia, Vasyl Myroshnychenko. Ambassador, thanks for your time. So some optimism around this deal? Is there a chance?
I would say cautious optimism. President Zelensky has approved the plan that's now been negotiated with American counterparts. Now, of course, it's up to Russia to decide what they're going to do.
What are the key sticking points that remain?
The key sticking points are the following. The red lines for Ukraine are the following. Ukraine cannot compromise on Ukraine's territorial integrity and sovereignty. We have the right to choose our alliances, and there could be no limitations on our defense capabilities. So Russians can eventually end up controlling 20% of the Ukrainian territory, but Ukraine can never legally cede that territory to them. More so, we can't give them any more land, which they don't control. Like, Russians are now demanding to get the rest of Donetsk Oblast, but they have spent 11 years and they haven't succeeded. And these are the most heavily armed defense lines that we currently have in the entire front line. And there is no possible way of how we can just move our troops and let them keep the territory where lots of Ukrainian people live to have and be occupied by the Russians.
So this is the heavily armed front line.
Absolutely.
And they want to encroach further without securing them in
the battlefield. Yeah, so they just want us to voluntarily leave the place and kind of use the administrative border of the Donetsk region. And not only that part is heavily populated. I mean, of course, a lot of people moved out, but it's lots of critical minerals, lots of rare earth minerals there, and it's also partly, industrial base, which of course suffered a lot, but is still there. And that is something that is a red line for us. And I think President Zelensky has made it very clear to President Trump that that's not going to work.
And the question is, will Putin accept this deal?
We'll find out tomorrow. We already had the indications from Lavrov, from the foreign minister, saying that it's unlikely because there are still some root causes. So you have to understand, Kieran, Russians don't want peace. Russians want Ukraine.
Is there a problem that they're stating, the question where you said you don't want limits on your military? Is it the alliance question? What is it?
Look, it's a combination of different things, and they can come up with something new all the time. But definitely, they want
to destroy Ukraine, basically.
They want to destroy Ukraine. It's just a matter of time when they're going to do it. So for us, we need security guarantees. So we need security guarantees from the U.S. government. Ukraine has already once given up its nuclear weapons in exchange for security assurances, which turned out to be not guarantees and not worth the paper it was signed on 30 years ago, right? So we need solid guarantees that this peace is sustainable, it is just, and long-lasting.
And NATO membership?
Well, look, NATO membership is not on the table at the moment, but we want to have that ability to join NATO when the time is right? It's not going to work now, but choosing alliances is part of your sovereignty. It's as if somebody is trying to impose it on Australia or how you should conduct your foreign policy.
When we talk about the landmass, not everyone would realise, but Ukraine is the largest country in Europe behind Russia. In terms of the geography, it is still a massive country in European standards, isn't it?
It is.
Even with Donetsk.
It is. So we're now talking about at least this territory of two Switzerlands, which are now under the Russian occupation. And that territory may unfortunately end up like Baltic nations, like Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania during the Soviet time when it was occupied by the Soviets. But nobody recognized them as Soviet, right? They had their exiled governments abroad. So this territory will always remain Ukrainian, including Crimea. And nobody can legally recognize it, right? It will be under the Russian occupation until the time is right to come back to Ukraine. And that's a matter for Ukrainians to decide how that's all going to develop. But look, a lot of these issues, Kieran, is part of your regional stability and security here. Because the way this war is going to end and the way it's all playing out is a direct link to your regional security. And we, in a moral contract between Australia and Ukraine, which is based on defending democracy and regional security. The best deterrence that Australia can build is to make sure that Russia fails in Ukraine, it's held accountable, and also Russian sovereign assets are used for Ukraine. Because that will be the best deterrent for any authoritarian government. We can start a war, but we cannot finish it. If they see that $300 billion of Russian sovereign wealth was used for Ukraine, they'll think twice before starting a war.
Very true. Vasyl Myroshnychenko, we'll await to see what the Russian response is formally, but as always, we appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.